Okay.
We're celebrating brand new Lone Justice. Can you believe it? It is Brian Hedgecock. And of course, we're talking Teenage Kicks. We're talking about a new album. Marie's in it. Marvin's in it. Tell us about the impetus, how this all kind of came about, and why is it a good time for some new Lone Justice?
Well, I always think it's a good time for new Lone Justice. It hits our mark that we hit originally. And, Marvin and I and Maria had been putting out records, live records with Omnivore for the last 10 years. There were some 2-track demos that we had done that we put out. And on the success of that, they were interested in some other stuff. So we found some live shows and some of our early demos. So I think we put out 3 or 4 records with Omnivore. And then in the process of that, the Country Music Hall of Fame contacted us, and we were part of this exhibit in Nashville called the Western Edge. And it was us and the Blasters and Lobos and Rank and File and all of the kind of, that we represented the 80s. They also had the Byrds, the Eagles, all that representing the 70s. And that was really great. That came after putting out all these Omnivore live things. And I think in the spirit of that, Marvin had found some 2-track tapes, recordings, live to 2-track of some sessions that they did before Maria made the Sin to Get Saved record. And I think they'd been sitting in his garage for years. I was living in New York at the time, so I wasn't there. And I guess Marvin, pulled him out and approached Maria and said, what do you think? Should we try to fix this up and put it out? And it was her idea. She said, well, call Ryan and put it out. We can put it out as Lone Justice. And so I got together with Marvin. He played me the stuff. I'd never heard it before. And we started to talk about it, and I decided to, let's go ahead and do this. So I kind of lived with the stuff for a little while, and I kind of put on my old Lone Justice hat and listened to it. And probably over the next 6 months, Marvin and I would get together, and I would add to these live 2-track tapes. So we'd find the right microphone, we'd find the right performance. We didn't want to sound like it was, on top of it, but it never existed. And, I look at this as brand new Lone Justice stuff, because until I was on it, it was, these were 2 tracks from a Maria McKee solo record, at her behest, me joining it turned it into Lone Justice. And so a lot of the stuff that they did at that time came from our original set and some of our early stuff. I think she covered a Red Devil song on there. And so, over a 6-month period, I came in and I sat down and we sang harmony, played guitar on it, just kind of beefed it up, just brought it into another place. And then in the process of that, I had a track that I had done with Maria a few years back. We brought that up, Jenny Jenkins, and we created this record it's the first record that we're all on the same page about. Like, it's the first Lone Justice record that's out that we all love. And that did not happen with the other records.
Wow. And the surprising cover of Teenage Kicks, how'd that come about?
Well, it's all about Fergal Sharkey. Maria and Fergal had come down when we were doing the first record, and I think Dave Stewart was involved. And there was a song that I don't know if Maria wrote it on her own or if she wrote it with Dave. I think it might have been on her own. But I think Dave Stewart was working with Fergal, and he played it for her, and it ended up being one of I think the main hit off of his solo record. I don't know how many he has, but
okay,
that was one of them. And so it was kind of like, we always loved Teenage Kicks. So that was something that happened back then when they recorded. I think it was just Marvin and Maria recorded. So then I went on and played on top of it all. And really proud of it. I think that, I mean, the thing about this new record is Maria's singing fantastic. It is so much fun, and you can get the energy and the live. It really makes me feel like that we're back at the Palomino or someplace like that. And and then we've been able to add some other songs to it sonically to kind of bring it into a whole other realm. Have you had a chance to hear it yet?
I've heard parts of it. I haven't heard the whole thing. I look
Gotcha.
forward
Yeah.
to it.
No, it holds together really well.
Yeah, I told this crazy undertone story to Marvin. I gotta share it with you.
Wait, could you hold that? I'm going to lose power right now. Let me
Yeah, no
plug this in.
problem.
Okay. Hold on.
Here we go. So it's like 79. I'm living up in the Seattle, Vancouver area, heavily involved in radio, putting on shows, the whole breakout of the punk new wave scene, and loving the Undertones record coming off of helping break, the Ramones in the Northwest. I put on the Clash's first shows they ever did in North
Wow.
America up in Vancouver at the Commodore Ballroom. And
Wow.
so me and a buddy, we're heading down to Seattle to interview Undertones, meet them at their hotel, and we're hanging out in front. They're like at the coffee shop, which is like out on the street, and they say, "Hey, we're supposed to be at a record store right now. They're doing, we're doing a in-store. And our ride, you know, never happened. Can you guys take us over there?" And I'm literally in like a little four-seater, and my buddy and I are two of the seats. There's five undertakers, or undertones. I'm sorry. And we looked at each other like, what the fuck? You only live
Yeah.
once. Let's go. So he got on the center console. I could barely steer. I'm hanging out the window, barely able to navigate. Got one tone in the front with him, and then four of them in the back seat that normally holds two.
Wow.
And we're driving across Seattle to this store where fans are waiting for them, and it was just insane. It was one of those moments like we should have just said, "No, man, our car's not going to carry that." And we're like, "What the fuck? It's punk rock. Let's go." We could have easily been pulled over by the cops, for having
Wow.
way too many people in that car.
Ah.
It's, one of those experiences. They played that night, and it was just, one catchy song after the other. And, I ran into Fergal later, when he was out here doing his solo stuff. And it was just great, great memories. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a great single. I mean, that's just one of those great singles.
oh,
I think Maria. Have you heard that one? Because I think she
yeah.
just shit out of that one.
Oh, yeah. No, it's one of those classics. It's kind of like the Ramones Blitzkrieg Bob. It's like their first song on their first album, and it's hard to top. Where do you go
Yeah.
from there? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
10
Totally.
albums later, people still want to hear your first song, and it was
Oh,
written when they had no money and no gear and,
right.
probably, a horrible rehearsal room. But yeah, no, that's the stories. But yeah, we can't wait to get the word out on the new Lone Justice. Talk to Marvin, talk to you, and hopefully you put the word into Marie and we have a chat with her. We'll plug the album, and of course, hopefully it's going to lead to a show or two. Something coming up.
Yeah, you never know. We're hoping to do a few things. Maybe something at the Grammy Museum. Not exactly sure,
Yeah.
but there's possibilities. We're still, I think, probably a couple months away from the release, but
Okay. And it's a French label, is it?
English.
English
English.
label.
Yeah, Fire Records.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, that is the amazing story of New Lone Justice from the beginning to the latest. And our
Yeah.
special guest has been the one and only Ryan Hedgecock. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us, man. A real pleasure.
Thanks, Jay. Great
Look
talking
forward
to you.
to keeping in touch and promoting anything coming up.
All right, thanks. Yeah, enjoy that record when you get it, okay?
No doubt.